Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room. My name is Louis. I'm joined today by Matty, Arnov, and James, and we are here today for a match preview of the Champions League semi-final, first leg at home at Anfield, hosting Villarreal. It's an exciting prospect. Another European final, another final for this season looms for the winner of this game, this tie, should I say. If you are new, please do like the video. Please do subscribe to the channel. We'll wait for a few people to get in before we dive into it. Matty, first of all, how are you doing? I know you're going to see the game tomorrow. How are you feeling about it?
I'm confident, but I know they're not going to be no pushover. Do you know what I mean? They have a decent side. They aren't in the semi-final of the Champions League for no reason. They beat Bayern Munich as well, who I thought were probably our biggest rivals for it this year. But I still think we beat them, to be honest. We think we're just too strong for them, and they've got a few injuries as well, which also helps. We just need to put the tie to bed really at Anfield. So we go to that away fixture with it pretty much done and dusted.
And Arnov, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm okay. Everything's going well. Looking forward to the game tomorrow, and we'll keep an eye on what happens tonight as well.
Yep, definitely. Of course, the other tie today is Man City at home to Real Madrid in the first leg. And James, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm the anxiety you get pre-build up to all these matches now is huge, isn't it? Because everything's like, and Everton sent me over the edge with the dirty ass tactics. It proper annoyed me. So if Villarreal do it, I don't know. I might not make it.
Well, I think you're in luck. We'll get into Villarreal in a moment, but I think we can expect slightly more of the same, with maybe a tiny bit more attacking threat from Villarreal in this fixture. A few people already in the chat. Shelley, hope you're doing well. Looking forward to your comments. We're looking forward to your comments back as well. Jen, as always, fantastic. Thank you very much for the super sticker. We love the contributions. Almost every bloody stream at this point. It's getting ridiculous, but thank you all the same. And Bojack, thank you for joining. Says Villarreal are going to turn up and park the bus. Well, let's get straight into it. Of course, Villarreal do have the best defensive record in La Liga so far this season in terms of expected goals conceded. Only Real Madrid and Sevilla have conceded less goals than them this season. But we are familiar with their manager, Unai Emery, leading the Yellow Submarine. Matty, they're going to pose problems for us, aren't they? We're glad we got Villarreal. It's probably the easiest game that we could have got out of the selections, but all the same, it's still going to be a potentially uphill battle for us tonight, isn't it? Tomorrow night, sorry.
Yeah. They are a good side, to be fair to them. They're only in here. I mean, they're poor in the Liga, but they're only here because they won the Europa League, aren't they? And then they went on some mad run, knocked Bayern Munich out. They are probably going to park the bus, but I do think that the power of Anfield and stuff will help. It's the last Champions League game at Anfield this season, and in recent weeks, it just feels like something special is brewing at Anfield. It really does. The atmosphere has been unbelievable week after week, and we've had loads of home games. We've had loads of Wembley trips thrown in, and there's just something good about the atmosphere at the minute. It's the best it's been all season, and it's just tomorrow being the last Champions League game at Anfield this season. I just think that'll help massively. If it'll be lively, it'll do their heads in. It's going to be intimidating, and I just think we dominate them. Someone like Luis Diaz, especially, haven't they got Gerard Moreno out? So that's a massive plus as well. So I think we'll beat them comfortably, to be honest.
Arnov, of course, we played Everton a couple of days ago now.
Yeah.
As I said, it feels like the games could go in a similar fashion in terms of the opposition tactics. Do you think Everton was, some ways, a good warm-up, a good preparation, almost coming at the right time going into a semi-final in the Champions League against this kind of opposition?
Yeah, I think it was a good warm-up. However, like James was saying, that it was so frustrating watching us play against them, especially in that first half, and like the nerves settling, especially like going into it. But then the second half, we showed our class. But then, yeah, I think it is a good warm-up for Villarreal because, like you mentioned, they've got the best defensive record, only behind a couple of teams in La Liga. So I think they do set up in similar ways, and I can expect a very defensive performance tomorrow. But I think, yeah, as Matty's saying, our class will just tear them apart, and the atmosphere tomorrow night should be electric. And if Moreno being out lessens a threat as well they've got. So we just got to keep an eye on Danuma and stop the the architect in Parejo as well, and then we should be all right tomorrow.
Thank you to everybody who's joining. Hyla, Matthias, Jen, of course, already here. Thank you all for getting involved. Please do like the video if you haven't done so already, and subscribe. James, yeah, your initial thoughts on this team. They are going to be tough to break down, but is that Anfield spirit going to help us to get through that yellow submarine?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the squad, and you've got your Lo Celso, you've got your Capu, you've got your Pau Torres. A lot of these players are, and I mean this, it doesn't mean as horrible as it sounds. They're all rejects from clubs fighting above, and they've come together, and they must have a really strong spirit, and that's what we're going to have to break. We're going to have to break this collective. We've been thrown out by this top club. They've got a manager who knows how to get this job done. Granted, not Champions League, but Europa League. So the big thing we need to do at Anfield is we just need to break their spirit. Once we break their spirit, we steamroller them like it's nothing. But it is about probably 2 or 3 goals. They've got to feel like they've lost hope, or they're losing hope, or we're running them over before we can feel confident that this ties over. And if we can do that, a bit like what we did to Everton, really, we broke the spirit when we scored, and it took Diaz to do some ridiculous control and Origi to just be Origi, and they just lost it. And if we can do that, it'll be done. If we don't, I think we'll still get them at Villarreal, because they'll have to try and go for us, and it's not going to work. So, but yeah, I'd like to get it done first leg, because I don't want this hanging over us.
Yeah, do you feel like, and I'll stay with you on this one, James, do you feel like the longer it goes on, the more it plays into Villarreal's hands?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't think they've got a hope. We can change, like as demonstrated at the weekend, we can change our offense and our style of offense with a couple of subs, and it makes a big difference. I just think we need to ideally break in in the first 20 minutes, as we used to do, just so that they think Anfield carries on. They think, crap, what am I in? And they just panic. Because really, we've got bigger, more difficult games to come. That sounds ridiculous, but in terms of teams that are up for it and are fighting for stuff that we need to beat. And I think if we can break them, we'll cruise through.
Yeah. And James made an interesting point about the collective spirit, like several, quote unquote Premier League rejects, your Capues, your Lo Celsos coming from Tottenham. But ultimately, those midfielders, they are good ball carriers, and they do have a tendency to work well under the press. And combined with that collective spirit, not just from the players, but this manager as well is technically a Premier League reject, isn't he, Matty? Unsuccessful at Arsenal, maybe just not given the time to succeed, because everywhere else he's gone, he's almost been a resounding success and made the most of what he's been given, which is not a lot.
Yeah. He got Arsenal to the final.
He got Arsenal to a final, didn't he?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So maybe an issue of time there. But Matty, do you think that spirit that James has talked about is almost their biggest weapon, something that could be used to cause a few upsets?
Yeah, and we've seen it with Emery sides before. To be honest, I that Sevilla Europa League final for us, I think it was Jurgen's first European final. We were the better team that day. We had the better squad, and their spirit just carried them through in it. And they have got good spirit. I mean, they did beat Bayern Munich, but I do think Liverpool would have disposed of Bayern Munich quite easily, like we did the other year, to be fair. But I don't think we should go into it thinking it's just going to be like 4 or 5-0, something stupid like that. I think it's going to be I'd take a 2-3-0 lead to Villarreal and be happy with the tie. I wouldn't be happy if it was like a 1-0, to be honest.
People in the comments are asking about thoughts on the other game, the Man City Real Madrid game, and who we'd prefer to see in the final if we get there. We'll have a quick chat about that towards the end, because I'm sure we do all have our thoughts and opinions on that. Arnov, I'm going to hit you with a bit of a horrible stat about this Villarreal side, and I want to get your thoughts on it. This season, they are yet to concede from a corner, which has been something that we've been actually quite strong at. Ibrahima Konate as well, bagging, what was it, 3 goals in 3 games, and those were all from corners, I believe. So a good set piece side going up against a side that doesn't concede from set pieces. It makes for an interesting battle, doesn't it? And do you think maybe that plays into the mind of Klopp in terms of team selection? Do you think we might see Konate getting the nod over Matip?
Potentially, yeah. That is an interesting stat, and especially with Konate's goals in the Champions League and also in the league as well. I think it will be something that plays on Jurgen's mind tomorrow. But I do think he'll go with Matip tomorrow, especially like a more astute and sound defensive lineup, because we saw a couple of the problems that Nunes caused, in my perspective, against Benfica, and I think Dan Yuma might be a similar problem, if not worse. Like we saw him against Bayern, and he played really well, and like you said, the defensive record there was really good because they only conceded one over 2 legs. So I think it could be an issue with these set pieces, but I feel like we're gonna get them in other areas, like we mentioned. They've got like players like Juan Foyth, Aurier, Pau Torres. Like our front three will eat them up, like demolish them, and they're not really experienced even in comparison to Vertonghen and Osmendi. And of course, it's not really a comparison, but those two can turn off a bit and be experienced. But these guys, I don't think they've got the experience of being at a semi-final, especially away at Anfield in the Champions League. I think it's going to be very tough for them tomorrow to handle Salah, Mane, and whoever plays with them, Diaz or Jota.
Well,
I've got something for you, Louis.
Let's go through the teams a little bit. Go ahead, James.
Alberto Moreno, this season, 35 appearances, 6 goals. For Liverpool, 141 appearances, 3 goals.
Well, Klopp always said he was the best finisher.
Season of his life, but he's quick. But against Mane, who's powerful, he's screwed.
Is he fit again?
I think he's injured though. He's out.
Is he one of the ones that's out?
He's out of it.
Oh, yeah, okay. Both the Morenos are like long-term injuries, I think.
Shame for him.
I think Dan Newman will be a big problem though.
Yeah, there's still problems within that team, and if we're not on our A game, they could easily make us suffer. We've seen it against Atletico Madrid. It only takes an early goal, and then Anfield gets very anxious, and things could go south. But let's continue with the team selection. I am keen every game. I'm keen about which centre backs people will go for. So James, with this fixture, what relatively we know about Villarreal and how we look to play, would you be looking for Matip, who's maybe at this point arguably the much better defender at this point than Konate, and a better ball carrier, or would you go for Konate, who's that little bit quicker on the turn, with counter attacks, and so far has proved himself to be invaluable from set pieces?
I think obviously the 3 select themselves for me, and then it is that Konate, Matip, and I think Matip's played 2 games in 4 days. I don't think he's done that very often. Normally they try to do it once a week, and Konate comes in and plays the other game. So whilst I would play Matip, I actually think it will be Konate because of the time difference and how they manage Matip now, which is why he doesn't get injured. So I think it'll be Konate, but I would play Matip because I think they're just going to sit back really deep, and I love his runs. It's like Bambi on ice.
And Matty, looking at the midfield 3, again, a big topic of conversation from game to game. Who are you looking at there? And not just, who you'd like to see against this specific Villarreal team, but bearing in mind how many games certain people have played, who's been on the bench a lot, who's likely to get injured. What are your thoughts on this one, and who might Klopp go for?
I think it's very similar to the centre backs as well. To be fair, with having Newcastle on Saturday and then Villarreal again, I feel like whoever doesn't maybe play out of like the midfield and of centre backs will probably play against Newcastle. But I'd like to see Fabinho, Thiago, Keita, because that midfield was unbelievable at Wembley and has been sensational every time we've seen it. Maybe the game against Everton, it didn't tick as well as it did in previous games. But Jordan Henderson done the press conference, so that usually means they're going to start. So I'd imagine it'll probably be Fabinho, Hendo, Thiago.
Yeah, and Arnov, do you think that's got the necessary balance against a team who are likely to play a low block and then at times look to hit us quite fast on the counter?
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree with Matty that three would be a good shot tomorrow, especially because we've got the balance with Hendo. Fabinho will provide the assurance and the insurance at the back, but I think and with Thiago, obviously the balls over the top and linking between the front three will be good as well. So I think that's definitely enough to break down this Villarreal side. I think it's just a matter of how quickly we do it. Hopefully we can get a goal early. But if it's anything like Sunday, it might be a bit tough watching, especially the first half. But I think it should be all right, and we should get the job done. And I think our front three will demolish them, so it should be okay.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that front three. James, I think maybe the front three almost writes itself. I mean, Luis Diaz again coming off the bench, chosen to be rested against Everton. He's coming straight in for this game, isn't he?
Is he though?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm asking you.
Yeah, I think so.
This is the thing. Like, he came on. He went water bottles, and that was quite good.
Cool, isn't it?
He came on. Yes, he made a difference, but Jota. This is the thing. Jota scores goals.
He's well better off the bench, though, isn't he? He's just when he comes off the bench, he always makes that impact. He's fantastic off the bench.
And moreover,
both are great off the bench.
Diaz only got about half an hour against Everton as well, so I reckon he will start tomorrow.
It's such a nice problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah.
But for their defence as well, though, they've got Pau Torres and Abiol. Now, Abiol, if you've got Luis Diaz running on him, he's old now. Like that, you've got to take advantage of that.
Is it Sergio Aurier against Salah?
If he play him in the last leg against,
he's only had 16 appearances, hasn't
he? Yeah, in the last leg against Bayern, they played Foyth right back.
I mean, we have at points earlier in the season, we have struggled against low block teams, and a lot of people have said maybe that's our biggest weakness, and they wonder why other teams don't do it as much against us. But having Luis Diaz has almost eliminated that problem. Anytime we've faced him since he's come in, Matty, he's a massive part of our ability to break down low blocks because he is so content with having a go at players, dribbling, taking on a man, just opening up that little bit of space, and suddenly we're in behind a low block.
Yeah, he's a difference. He is what we've wanted for years, to be fair. He's not afraid to have a run of people. And we've seen in the derby, Everton played with 11 men behind the ball for pretty much the whole 90 minutes, and we weren't getting anywhere. And he came on and he didn't have them. Like, people were treating it like a derby. We've seen Richarlison and Hendo, Andy Gordon dive and stuff like that. But he came on and was just like another game for him. I've never seen anyone come on and do some of the stuff he did against Everton on the weekend. And he is that difference. He'll run at players. And if he's running at potentially like Sergio Aurier or running at Abiol, like he's going to have success there. He definitely is. And a lot of people mentioned Divock in the derby, rightfully so. But Diaz did make the difference when he came on. He got the extra space in so Divock could make them runs and ultimately finish his chances.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about Villarreal's strengths, of course, their injuries as well, but one of their weaknesses, perhaps, where the system kind of covers for it, their goalkeeper. I want to make sure I get this right. Geronimo Rulli. He's not the greatest. He's one of those keepers who's very keen to get himself off the line quickly. And what this tends to do is you tend to see him get chipped a few times. I think that's happened. I think that happened in the group stages with Ronaldo. I think he came off his line way too quickly in a situation where he didn't need to. And doing that also reduces reaction times as well. So it does feel like if we can just get the ball over the top once or twice, or just get it round the back once or twice, you've got to trust one of the 6 amazing attackers that we've got to finish one of the chances. Arnov, do you think that we need to particularly change anything for this game? Anthony says just play a 4-2-4 against low blocks. It's inevitable that we'll score. Do you see that happening from the outset, or are we going to keep with what we know?
No, I think it will be a pragmatic approach. I don't know about starting 4 attackers, but as we saw, like Jurgen's not afraid to do it, especially to do it so early as well against Everton. I thought it was quite a bold move, and thus I think if it's anything similar to the Everton game in that first 45 minutes, I reckon he's not gonna Jurgen won't throw the toys out the pram. He'll stick to a system that he knows, and he'll tire out Villarreal because eventually there's gonna be a goal tomorrow for us. So whether it comes late or early, there will be one. There's gonna be a couple in there. So I think he's just gonna keep to what he knows, and those defenders like Albiol, he'll get tired most definitely, and Diaz, Salah, and Mane are just inevitable. I think anyway. So.
Hyla makes a great point, saying everyone is attacking Villarreal and they thrive on parking the bus and hitting teams on the break. How about that we don't play into their strengths like Juventus and Bayern Munich did? James, I feel like it was me, you, and Kris on a stream months ago, and we talked about something similar to this, and he was of the opinion that with these kind of teams, we should just give them the ball. But I feel like if it was that easy, we would be doing that a lot more often. What's your take on that kind of approach?
The way Jurgen Klopp plays is this is how we play, deal with it. It's not we will change our system, we will do. Yeah. The reason Man City get knocked out all the time is because he tinkers with a system that works, because he thinks he needs to do something spectacular in the semi-final moments to try and break down a team to try and get the victory. Jurgen Klopp just goes, high line, high press, great attackers. See if your tactics can beat mine. You know what mine are before you walk through the door. Go for it. Any changes like that, any overthinking is just, it's a recipe for disaster. Because if a player for a millisecond has to think, should I be here or should I be here? That's that millisecond that the other team get in. So no, stick to the guns. Do as you want. Yes, you could put 4 up front if you wanted, but no changes. It just doesn't make sense. They're not trained that way. If you've got a team like a Rafa team that is trained to do tactical twists and moves, and you practice it, you feel comfortable in it, fine. This isn't the Liverpool way.
Matty, I know your answer, but do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with what James just said there, to be honest. We played that way. We've never changed our system before. I had a massive debate in the last year's Champions League about Liverpool do not need system changes, and we've one of the most successful teams in the world, probably the biggest, most threatening team in the world at the minute, and we haven't changed our system for so many years under Klopp, so he won't do that. He doesn't overthink games. He knows over 180 minutes we have a better side and we will be Villarreal, so it's just a matter of when, not if.
Arnov, before we talk about the other fixture, which starts tonight at 8 p.m, so we'll make sure we're kind of wrapped up so everyone can go and watch that. The away goals rule, we know about it plenty of times now. We've heard about it. It's gone. It doesn't apply to these knockout games. Now that we've seen it in action for a few rounds, how much of an impact do you think it has on the way that different teams go for things? Do you think it makes the home tie even more important for the home side because they can't rely on nicking something away from home? They've got to use their home crowd to get a result, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it has made an impact, and especially for smaller teams going up against the bigger sides. But I think especially at home, Villarreal won't really, if they're playing at home, they won't be on the back foot per se. If they were in the first leg, for example. However, now they've got really nothing to lose when the game is at home, because they don't need to worry about the away team scoring. So I think it has made a big difference. But I think it benefits a lot of the sides for attacking prowess rather than defensively, because defensively away from home, a lot of teams might not be at home. Sorry, a lot of teams might not be as scared to go forward when they're playing against the bigger teams, like we saw with Villarreal against Bayern, even, for example. And thus, I think it made a difference. But I don't think, and I think it will help them, if anything, if they've got any chance of beating us, which they don't really. I think that will help the away goals not really counting, because I reckon we can go there and smash in about 3. So
I hate it, by the way. I hate they've got rid of it. I love the away
Really?
goal. I really liked it. It just made it a little bit more interesting.
Nah, I'm not bothered, mate, because if you
yeah.
think of the game we've got now, we're at home first, so if you only win 1 or 2-0 and you don't get an early goal away, you're worried more. So the fact they don't count, I'm not really that bothered. I think
It's the conversation that if they score one and the Liverpool score, then they win. If we score this, then it just makes it more interesting. And they've got rid of it because now it's just 5-5. Okay, let's do extra time. Oh, come on.
Let's have a quick chat about the other fixture before we go. It's Man City at home in the first leg. Real Madrid coming off a high of getting past Chelsea. Can they do another English side? Can they do the current English champions, James?
No. Unfortunately, I really hope they do, but I mean, we've got to be honest. Well, what we're talking about here is probably the 2 best teams in the world on the road to the Champions League final. I really hope they pull something off, but Man City should get past them. They should.
Matty and James discuss. Have 1 or 2 minutes discuss. Because Matty is of the opposite.
James, last year, I was exactly like in that mindset when we played Real Madrid. Exactly in that mindset. And they came and, we had Kabak and Nat Phillips at the back, but they were unbelievable games. Real Madrid, like Liverpool in the Champions League, are a different beast. And if Vinny Jr. and Benzema hit it off tonight, Man City should be worried. They got John Stones at right back, and they're going to have Vinny. If Real Madrid have any sense, they'll have Vinny Jr. on that side targeting them. If not, they got Rodrigo. He's just as fast anyway. But if they switch them and put Vinny Jr. on John Stones, I fancy Real Madrid. I really want Benzema to score first, Madrid to win, and over 20 corners, and I'll be a very happy man.
I just think that it's one of those, isn't it? You know, you've got to appreciate that.
Benzema scored back-to-back hat-tricks, though. Back-to-back hat-tricks in the Champions League. He's been an animal this year, an absolute animal. Like, you can't help but rate him, and Vinny Jr. has been sensational for them. They've got the stronger bench as well, to be fair.
I would not want to play, like, Real Madrid for me, is it, like, against our high line with Vinicius Jr., I would be worried because he attacks it deep. And that was one of the things they did against Chelsea. Vinicius Jr.'s runs were really quite deep, and he was never going to be offside by a mile. He just backed his pace that much. It's a bit like prime Bale. But, I mean, everything says Man City should do it. I nearly said Man City then, and that wasn't the intention.
Well, you've said it now, so...
But they should. It's just, I really want Real Madrid to do it. I'd love another Liverpool-Real Madrid final over a Liverpool-Man City final.
Looking at the squad as well, Pep hasn't over 40, which is mad. So you could work in our favour in a sense of if they get like a 1 or 2-0 win against Madrid tonight, he'll overthink that second leg like no tomorrow. He hasn't over 40 today. He's just played 4-3-3 and went quite strong. But we've seen Pep, when there's pressure, overthink stuff. So, but to be fair, Real Madrid are dirty. They're not as dirty as Atletico, but they're dirty. They're typical Spanish side. So City got a really weak bench, to be honest. Like, although they've spent a hell of a lot of money, if you look at their bench, it is weak. Yeah, they got Jack Grealish on the bench, but he's been crap this year. He's not a £100 million player, really, if we're being honest. So, be interesting, but I do fancy Real Madrid, I really do. And to be honest, I'd rather Man City in the final, because I think we'd batter them in the Champions League final, I really do. But
oh, come on. I know you're the eternal Liverpool optimist, but bloody hell.
Nah, look at us in Wembley. The atmosphere gets to City. If we play Manchester City,
that was
in the
a dead
League
Man
final,
City team, though. That was a dead back four.
I think no matter who we steamroll them. If we play Man City in Paris, we'll have half of their tickets because they have got a poor fan base. They've got a decent following, but they haven't got Liverpool-sized following. And Liverpool fans will find a way to go in that stadium. The atmosphere would be mad. City crumble and that. So we've seen against Lyon a few years ago. We've seen it quite a few years on the spin, to be fair, and they haven't came up against Liverpool in a Champions League final. This would be Liverpool's third rodeo out there in the past few years. We know what we're doing.
Yeah, but how we play Champions League finals, or any final for that matter, is horrific for the fan. Because it never goes simply. And I don't want to think, shit, City have beat us. in a final to the Champions League, and they've got that.
I don't think they would.
I want Real Madrid to do them, but I'd rather. I think they'll get through it, and I do think we'll beat them in the final.
I think
Well,
it's too good.
I think the game's kicked off, and I can already see our viewer count has dropped ever so slightly. So I'm gonna a few people have run off. So we'll keep it short and sweet for this preview, and we'll end it there. Matty, Arnov, James, everybody in the chat, thank you very much for watching this live match preview of Liverpool versus Villarreal. If you are new and haven't done so already, please do like the video. Please do subscribe to the channel, and feel free to join our Discord server. Link for that in the video description. We'll see you for the live watch along tomorrow night. It's 8 p.m. kickoff, so it'll be a 7:30 p.m. Start for the stream. So make sure you're there for that as well. And we'll have a good laugh. But until then, from all of us, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Take care.